Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ox Talks. It's Monday, February 19th, 2024. It is an official holiday, so I believe banks are closed today, schools. I'm still here at the office working today, met a couple clients, took in a couple new real estate matters, and email flow is down, the calls are down, but that's great. It enabled me to get some more things done here in the office. If you had the day off today, hope you were productive. Let's jump into a couple stories that I think are worth sharing with you today. Before we start, as always, thank you for watching these videos and sharing the videos with people that you know and love, that you care about, that you want to continue to wake up as to what is happening in this country, economically, socially, politically, all these kind of things. Very, very important. Mainstream media is not going to give you the real facts. I hate to break that to you. If you're here watching this channel, you probably already know that. So please continue to share. Thanks for the response on yesterday's video. It's doing phenomenal. What that tells me is we do have a platform here. We can continue to grow this channel, to grow the subscriber base. If you watched yesterday's video, if you're one of the 18 or 19,000 people that watched it that haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. It means a lot to me. I believe we have a lot to share on this channel. We have a little different approach, which will also include preps. It'll include some information about my law practice and some other suggestions as we go along through this journey. So again, thank you very much. Hit the thumbs up button and also the bell notification. First article I saw today, we talk about the consolidation as we're seeing in the banking industry. And I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg as it relates to bank failures, bigger banks buying up the smaller and mid-sized banks as this commercial real estate fiasco unfolds throughout this year and next year. From my perspective, you're going to see a lot more consolidation, a lot more than we've already seen so far. This article today I thought was interesting because we're also now about to start seeing, and this may be the start of it, a consolidation in the credit card companies. This story was out of the Zero Hedge today, and it says, with charge-offs soaring, Capital One to buy Discover, creating credit card giant. Again, leave your comments below. Does the idea of having fewer options appeal to you? Does the idea of having larger conglomerate or giant banks, giant credit card companies appeal to you? Seems to me that if it starts to go down this road any further, these larger companies can set whatever rules they want. If there are less options for you, they can set the fees higher. They can do all these things. Obviously, there are federal regulations and such, but it gives a lot more control in the hands of few conglomerate companies. So this is something worth paying attention to. Let me share the story. It says, with both delinquency and charge-off ratios at the two largest credit card companies targeting everyday customers, unlike the top 10% focused American Express, in the U.S. surging in the past 2 years to the highest level since the pandemic crash. So again, charge-off ratios at the two largest credit card companies surging in the past 2 years to the most since the pandemic, going back to early 2020. This is prompting speculation among traders that the U.S. consumer is set for a painful hit. I don't think it's speculation. I think you're seeing this unfold on a daily basis as it relates to the consumers in financial distress in this country. It says, just a few days ago, Goldman trader Rich Pravorsky said, I think we're going to keep ignoring any consumer concerns for now. But some of these numbers from Discovery were pretty glaring. And what he's referring to is the 242 basis point surge it talks about in NCOs from 2.81%, listen to this, to 5.23%. NCO refers to a net charge-off, and that means that the dollar amount representing the difference between the total amount of the debt and the amount that the bank is able to subsequently recover towards the debt. So if someone owes $10,000, the bank, through a stipulation or through a lawsuit, is able to recover $2,000, but write off the rest. The net charge-off is that $8,000 delta or $8,000 difference. So NCOs have pretty much doubled from 2.81% to 5.23%. It says Capital One plans to buy Discover Financial Services in a deal that would combine the two largest and ugliest, it says, credit card companies in the United States. And it says the Wall Street Journal reported the all-stock deal to be announced on Tuesday, that would be tomorrow, and the deal would value Discover, which is a market value of around $28 billion at a premium, because it'll be acquired by Capital One. It says buying Discover would give Capital One a credit card lender with a market value of a little over $52 billion, a network that would increase its power in the payments ecosystem. Card networks are critical to enabling transactions and setting fees that merchants pay when consumers stop or shop with credit cards. They're much smaller than Visa and MasterCard. Discover says one of the few competitors to those companies in the United States, and is one of a very small number of card issuers that also has a payments network. Capital One, the 9th largest bank in the country and a major credit card issuer, uses Visa and MasterCard for most of its cards, it says. The bank plans to switch at least some of its cards to the Discover network, which guarantees that it will lose even more customers, of course, the editorial portion of this article says, while continuing to use Visa and MasterCard on others. Capital One, it says, also plans to maintain the Discover brand on the cards and network. It says this deal follows a tumultuous period for Discover. The company disclosed last year that an internal review found it had misclassified certain credit card accounts beginning in 2007, incorrectly placing them in the highest merchant and acquire pricing tier. And what the company's done to address that is establish a $365 million fund, liability fund, to account for estimated compensation owed to merchants and acquirers. It says for Capital One, the deal would also further expand the number of cardholders it will count as customers for its credit card lending business. And an acquisition, it says in closing, of Discover will rank among the biggest deals so far for 2024. It's interesting that one of the biggest deals for the year so far will be a credit card merger of two credit card companies. So we'll continue to keep a watch on this as well. Is it the start of something greater? We will see. Yesterday, I addressed very briefly an article I'd seen a couple days ago that I thought was worth talking about, and it deals with Cleveland Cliffs. And the article was out of U.S. News, I believe, on February the 15th. But it exemplifies the continued shutdowns in this country, the continued layoffs in this country, and also deals with certain industries being hit harder because of the laws, the anti-competition laws and anti-dumping laws that are supposedly on the books in this country. In this case, it is not protecting the U.S. company. Let me share the article. Leave your comments below if you're in this area, if this is affecting you. But I thought it was impactful. It says Charleston, West Virginia, AP. Cleveland Cliffs announced on Thursday, that would have been last Thursday, that it is shutting down a northern West Virginia tin production facility indefinitely and plans to lay off 900 workers after the International Trade Commission voted against imposing tariffs on tin imports. It says the Trade Commission ruled earlier this year that no anti-dumping and countervailing duties will be imposed on tin products from Canada, China, and Germany because those imports do not sufficiently harm the U.S. steel industry. They do not sufficiently harm. I wonder how they define what is sufficient harm. It says the U.S. Department of Commerce had determined those products were sold in the United States at less than fair value and subsidized by the Chinese government. So the Trade Commission also voted to stop a duty investigation into tin products shipped from South Korea. Anti-dumping and countervailing duties are levied against foreign governments that subsidize products so that they can be sold below cost. This is the Cleveland-based company employs 28,000 workers in the United States and up in Canada. It says Weirton where this plant is located that's going to shut down, lay off 900 workers. Wharton, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, is a city of 19,000 residents along the Ohio River of about 40 miles west of Pittsburgh. Cleveland Cliffs chairman, President and CEO Lorenzo Goncalves said the company and the United Steelworkers Union fought tirelessly to keep the Wharton plant open. Quote, in what was our final effort to maintain tin plate production here in America, we proved that we are focused to operate on we are forced to operate on an uneven playing field, and the deck was stacked in favor of the importers, he said in a statement. The Trade Commission ruling was shocking and made it impossible for us to viably produce tin plate. He added that the Trade Commission's decision is a travesty for America, middle-class jobs, and our critical food supply chains. Senator Joe Manchin said the Trade Commission turned a blind eye to Cleveland Cliffs workers. The plant's closing is an absolute injustice, not only to American workers, but to the very principle of fair competition, and it will undoubtedly weaken our economic and national security, Manchin said. Cleveland Cliffs, in closing, Cleveland Cliffs was once a tin facility of nearly 800-acre property operated by Wharton Steel, which employed 6,100 workers in 1964, and then filed for bankruptcy protection in 2003. So once there was 6,100 workers supporting that town. The remaining 900 workers are now getting terminated, and the plant is closing. I thought that was a very sad, but a reality of what's happening. And it doesn't matter what industry it is, folks, if you can set yourself apart from a 9-to-5 job, if you can start a business, we talk about this tirelessly on this channel, I suggest that you try to do that. If you're one of the 900 people that got laid off at Cleveland Cliffs or is about to, I think that you would have, in hindsight, look back, if you were able to have some kind of a side source of revenues being generated to supplement you and your family, that it would have been potentially a lifeline for you. So this goes for anybody who's been suffering or recently suffered from a layoff. This is going to keep accelerating in 2024 and even into the following year from my perspective. So do everything you can at this point to shore up your ability to earn revenues, generate some money, even if it's a weekend job, a side job. If you're able to transition into a full-time job where you own the company, where you make the hours, where you control the generation of revenue and money to support your family, I don't think there's any better time to consider that. I took on a new case today. It is another, I talk about this a lot now, a lot of these cases coming in the door now. It's another real estate dispute. It's a boundary dispute. It deals with two neighboring properties. My client has lived there for many, many years. The property next door was sold. It is one of those deals where there's no little wall between the properties. It's not a zero lot line. There is a property boundary, but there's no wall. Folks, if you're buying real estate, it doesn't matter whether it's residential or commercial, but primarily residential, if you do not have demarcated boundary lines, meaning walls, some sort of barriers that have apparently been in place for a period of time, I would consider, if I were you, I would consider having it surveyed before you close escrow, because these issues are coming up where people think they know where the lines are, and what's happening now is we have the new owner encroaching on my client's property. He's erected a wall to prevent my client access to my client's own property. We're going to have to file a lawsuit, go in for an injunction, and have the court order that be torn down. It's probably going to get very ugly, and the worst part is it's going to get very expensive. So please consider these things, whatever state or jurisdiction you're in. I'm not giving you legal advice, but consider as part of due diligence when you're acquiring property to have a survey done so you understand. Because this new owner is saying, well, he didn't know. What's going to happen is when we sue this existing landowner, he's going to turn around and probably countersue the people that sold him the property a few months ago, saying that they relied on whatever was in the documents at that time. Probably no survey was done, or that would have tipped them off. Again, we don't know all the facts yet. Keeping you up to date on what's happening. I'll be leaving to get my workout in about an hour. I hope all of you took the time today, or will take the time today, to do some cardio exercise, get your steps in. Very, very important. If you have time to do some strength training, sit-ups, push-ups, wherever you're at, whatever the weather is outside, you can do those from your house, your office. You don't need a fancy gym. Start moving and start exercising so we can continue to be a healthier and more focused nation. The diet, super important. Do not ignore it. It's actually more important than the workout routine. They have to be hand in hand if you want to see results. With that being said, we're about 16 minutes. Again, the response to yesterday's video was very, very cool, and it shows me that we will and we can continue to grow this platform. Thank you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.